The horizon vanished in a wall of water. One moment, there was sky. The next, nothing but churning black. Waves taller than houses swallowed the light. The rain didn't fall. It attacked, slanting sideways in sheets so thick they drowned out breath. The wind screamed through the rigging like a living thing, ripping canvas, splintering wood, hurling men from the deck like twigs. Somewhere in that chaos, 655 souls clung to what hope they had left. And then, silence. When the SS Camorta vanished in May 1902, it didn't just disappear from the shipping logs, it was swallowed whole. No radio call, no flare, no survivors, just a name on a passenger list and a sea that never gave them back. She was gone, and no one knew why. Not yet. The British India Steam Navigation Company didn't build glamorous ships. Their fleet was workhorse steel, sturdy, functional vessels designed to move cargo, mail, and people across the arteries of empire. The SS Camorta was one of these. Launched in 1880, she was 285 feet long, iron-hulled, twin-masted, with a screw-driven engine that made her dependable on even the roughest crossings. She wasn't fast, she wasn't luxurious, but she was trusted. By 1902, the Camorta had been making the route between Madras and Rangoon for over 2 decades. She ferried laborers, civil servants, railway workers, and merchants across the Bay of Bengal with brutal efficiency. In the wet season, she pushed through monsoon swells. In the dry, she shimmered beneath the Indian sun. The ship had weathered it all, until the day she didn't. On the morning of May 18th, 1902, the SS Camorta slipped away from the port of Madras, India. The air was heavy, the sea strangely calm. She carried 655 people, mostly Indian passengers, and a small crew of British officers. Some of them were entire families packed into steerage, women with infants strapped to their backs, fathers hauling sacks of rice, children clutching baskets of fruit and threadbare dolls. Others were traveling alone, young men on contract to Burmese railways, clerks returning to government posts, merchants with crates of dried spices and bolts of cotton. They laughed, chatted, passed meals around in tiffin tins. To many the voyage was familiar, boring even. The Camorta had a solid reputation. No one imagined it might be their last night on Earth. Captain E.G. Brown stood at the helm. He was a seasoned officer, respected for his calm under pressure and strict adherence to protocol. The crew trusted him. The company trusted him. His journals showed no sign of concern. But weather doesn't care about reputation. Over the warm waters of the Bay of Bengal, a storm was forming. In the tropics, cyclones can rise out of nothing. A swirl of low pressure, a flicker of convection, and suddenly the sky explodes. On May 18th, far to the east of the Camorta's route, such a cyclone was already gaining strength, fed by sea surface temperatures and wind shear dynamics no sailor could detect from deck. There were no satellites, no radar, no advanced warning systems. The only hint of what was coming was a faint drop in barometric pressure and a sense, felt in the bones of old sailors, that the sea had gone too still. The Camorta steamed ahead, unknowingly into the heart of the storm. The first sign of trouble came off the Irrawaddy Delta. That night, other ships in the region began to radio reports of worsening conditions. One vessel, the SS Tenasserim, recorded wind speeds exceeding 80 miles per hour. Visibility fell to 0. Lightning forked across the sky, illuminating monstrous swells that tossed ships like toys. Captains took evasive action, dropping anchor, turning back, running for safe harbor. The Camorta had no such luck. Somewhere near the Krishna Shoals, a dangerous stretch of shallow water peppered with hidden reefs, she lost control. What happened next is conjecture. She may have struck a submerged reef, ripping open her hull. She may have capsized in a sudden wind shift. Or she may have simply been overwhelmed, her hatches crushed, her lifeboats torn away, her passengers sealed below deck in the dark. What is certain is this: she never arrived in Rangoon. At first, no one panicked. Delays were common, especially in monsoon season. Messages were sparse. But by May 23rd, concerns began to rise. The Camorta was now several days overdue. Relatives gathered at the port in Rangoon, eyes scanning the empty horizon. Shipping agents made inquiries. Telegraphs flew between Madras and Calcutta. The British India Steam Navigation Company dispatched search vessels along her usual route. For days, they found nothing. Then, on May 26th, something floated ashore. It was a piece of the Camorta's superstructure, splintered and scorched by salt water. Then came a lifebelt, a tea crate, then bodies. The first were badly decomposed, so bloated from seawater that identification was impossible. Some were lashed together by their own hands, bound with cloth and rope. Others still wore fragments of uniform. A child's slipper was found tangled in a fishing net, 20 miles from shore. Soon it became undeniable. The Camorta was gone, and everyone aboard her was dead. The official death toll was listed at 655. In reality, the number may have been higher. Not all passengers were formally recorded. Some families paid in cash, boarding last minute. Others carried only verbal agreements, their names never written down. Of the dead, only 39 were British. The rest, Indian men, women, and children, vanished into the margins of imperial paperwork. Their names weren't published in newspapers. Their faces weren't memorialized. For the families, the grief was silent and absolute. Widows waited at docks for weeks, refusing to leave. Children held photos up to incoming ships, asking if anyone had seen their father. Bodies were never recovered in full. Some washed ashore weeks later, unrecognizable. Others vanished forever. There were no funerals, no caskets. Just the knowledge that somewhere in 40 feet of muddy seawater, their loved ones rested in the dark. By July, the wreck was found. The survey ship Dalhousie located her broken hull off the Krishna shoals. She lay on her side in relatively shallow water, torn nearly in two. Divers descended in thick canvas suits, their boots filled with lead, their airlines trembling in the current. They reported catastrophic structural failure. The Camorta's deck had been ripped open, likely from a combination of wind shear and impact. Her lifeboats were gone. Most of her doors remained sealed. It was likely that the passengers, particularly those in steerage, never had a chance to escape. What little was recovered was handed over to officials. The rest remained below, declared a mass grave, then abandoned. The inquiry that followed was brief. The British India Steam Navigation Company ruled the cause as loss due to violent cyclone activity. No blame was assigned, no criminal negligence found. The captain was posthumously praised for his service. The ship's design was deemed adequate. They adjusted future storm routing. They added life belts to newer vessels. And then, they moved on. The press lost interest. The company returned to schedule, and the Camorta became just another name on the long list of forgotten maritime tragedies, buried in the sea and in silence. But the story didn't die completely. In Tamil Nadu, old women still tell stories of a ship that vanished into the storm, of a mother who gave her child to the waves so it might float free. In Burma, some say the spirits of the drowned still cry from the shoals during the rainy season, their whispers heard in the howling wind, and beneath the silt and coral, the Camorta still rests. Her hull is mostly intact, rusted, encrusted, slowly dissolving. Fishermen who drift too close report strange pulls on their lines. Divers avoid her. Nothing grows near her, as if the sea itself remembers, as if it hasn't finished grieving. Thank you for listening to The Sunken Ledger. Subscribe for more true stories from the depths.